Welcome everyone, and thank you for tuning in today. My name is Chris Williams. I am the Territory Development Manager for Kinetics Noise Control's Building Acoustics Market Group. And unfortunately, Tonya Levine, our Director of Sales, couldn't be with us today. She's on a well-deserved vacation. Nevertheless, I am thrilled to co-present this case study today alongside Taylor Smith. Taylor is the Sales and Business Development Manager for Merlin Noise Control. Merlin Noise Control is one of our friendly sales reps representing all of Western Canada across 3 Kinetics market groups, those being Building Acoustics, Room Acoustics, and the Industrial Group. So yeah, as we go through the presentation, feel free to ask any questions throughout. We will be answering any and all questions at the conclusion of the presentation today. So today we're going to take you through what was our first successful implementation and installation of MetaWrx isolation system, a project that was initiated by Alberta Health Services. And quickly, for those of you who are not familiar, AHS is a part of Canada's first and largest province-wide fully integrated health system, with something like 4.5 million people visiting the various AHS facilities in search of care every year. So one of those facilities is the South Health Campus, you see there. The South Health Campus became fully operational in 2016 and is one of the largest, if not largest, hospitals in Calgary. So yeah, it's state-of-the-art facility, full service hospital, supporting a large number of patients every year, around 19,000 inpatients and 400,000 outpatient visits every year. So part of the South Health Campus is designated as a YMCA weight room and fitness space, YMCA being the tenant, of course. The YMCA is used both by staff and patients, the staff using it to, of course, take a break, exercise, unwind, etc. And the patients using the facility who would be engaged in the rehabilitation programs offered by the SHC. So, and all within the Wellness Center program there. As you can imagine, while the what I'd consider extensive exercise equipment and fitness related activities, they are of course ideal for the overall wellness center offerings within the hospital. The second floor location of the YMCA within the multi-story building was not so ideal, at least from a noise and vibration control standpoint. So this particular YMCA fitness facility sits above the day surgery area of the building. That's where the patients and patients' family and friends would stay overnight to rest and recover from surgery, so sleeping areas. Then both horizontal to the fitness center and directly above the fitness center were doctors' offices, executive offices on the 3rd floor, and well, more executive offices directly above on the 4th floor. So at the outset of COVID, as we know, restrictions necessitated that the workout room be shut down. And during this time, while the fitness center was unoccupied, all of the nurses, the doctors, admin, everyone noticed the significant difference in noise and vibration with the fitness center being unoccupied as it was. So, as a matter of fact, I was talking to Taylor earlier in the week, and we came to learn that one doctor there was actually openly grateful that the building was no longer "quote unquote" vibrating from all the weight drops and the medicine ball drops and every year impact that was occurring there. So, consequently, management that prior to the reopening, the noise issue had to be addressed in order for the YMCA to reopen. So that was a stipulation, with the aim to reduce both airborne and but more so the structure-borne noise in this case. AHS enlisted in the help of Merlin Noise Control to aid in the retrofit project. So go ahead, Taylor.
Okay, yeah, thanks very much, Chris. Pleasure to be here again with you and to talk about this project. An interesting note to mention is during the install of this project, I was on site, working on the project as well. My daughter was born in this hospital and was staying there as we were installing. So had the perspective from working on the job as well as being a patient in the hospital. So we were approached by AHS and the YMCA in the spring of 22 to look at the fitness center within the hospital. And the photos you see here were the flooring that was installed when the hospital opened and the YMCA opened. So this was the existing gym flooring. And as Chris mentioned, they were experiencing a lot of vibration and noise issues in the space directly below this. And you can see the existing fitness flooring there was starting to get towards the end of its life cycle. And with the space being shut down, we met with the YMCA and with the AHS to come up with a possible solution. Some of the ideas we were originally considering were a rollout rim floor or a spring jack-up floor, but the timing was ideal as in conversations with Chris and Tonya, Kinetics was just getting ready to roll out the MetaWrx system, which was designed specifically for these applications. So from there, we returned to the hospital a few weeks later. We got the MetaWrx pads shipped up and worked with the facilities and maintenance team at the hospital to create a mock-up piece of test flooring that you can see in the photos here. So it was 4x4, 3 sheets of plywood with the MetaWrx pads mounted to the underside and laid out in the spacing that it would be to eventually be in the floor. So we had this sample piece with the MetaWrx. You can see in the photo on the left, we had replacement of the existing fitness floor. And then we also had tested dropping directly on the floor as it was in the photos here with no underlay or anything on top of it. And the testing, we had 6 nurses in the space below with noise meters, and they were recording the results as we dropped the weights. They were also recording how they perceived the impact as we dropped the weights. And then we had 2 maintenance staff on the fitness floor area doing the same, and then another 2 or 3 nurses on the floor above. And we moved this sample material to 16 different locations throughout the gym. And we dropped a 40-pound dumbbell from chest height on all 3 different types of flooring. And that was how the test was taken out. And the results were great. The feedback from everyone, all the nurses below and above, was very positive. I was there for the testing, and you know the amount of vibration that was reduced from dropping on our platform was very impressive. We actually had someone radio down from the 4th floor, which was 2 floors above this space, at first to complain about all the impact from the test being dropped with no flooring, and then to say how nice it was when they would drop it with the MetaWrx system. So some great feedback right from the get-go with the testing. And about 2 weeks after that, AHS decided to move forward with the MetaWrx floor. And so we got to work with Chris and Tonya and the team there, and came out with the design and layout for the MetaWrx system. You'll notice in these photos here, we only did the installation of the acoustic floor in the free weights area. The other parts of the gym were used for machines like ellipticals and machine-based workout activities that they didn't have the constant impact from dropping of dumbbells. So we only did the free weight section of the gym. You'll see in the photo there, we had 2 ramps to access the running track on the outside of our floor. So we incorporated those into our design. And as well, you'll see some higher load pucks, so some additional pucks inserted around the perimeter of the floor, and I'll touch on those, I think, in the next slide. So we began rolling out the isolation material. For those of you that are familiar with the rim rollout floor system, it's a very similar install method. The pucks are pre-spaced. The cutouts for the pucks are pre-spaced. It rolls out really quickly. And from here, we went and laid out all of the isolators throughout the floor system. So again, you can see those high-load pucks along the perimeter, and those were installed underneath the weight racks. There wasn't much else for high loading within this area. Again, another shot of the high load pucks, as well as the perimeter isolation board that was installed along all the perimeter along the running track and on the front face of the floor surface. As well, as I mentioned, in the design stage, we allowed the cutouts for the ramp access. So you can see how we framed those in and cut the plywood accordingly to allow for those ramp access entrances. The next step from there was to lay down the 3 layers of 3/4 inch plywood. And with the plywood, we alternated direction in order to increase some of the stiffness in the floor. And these were all screwed together. You can see the screws in both of these photos here. And it worked quite nice once we got the 3rd layer on. Chris, I don't know if you want to touch on the 3 layers of plywood.
Yeah, thanks, Taylor. Yeah, real quick. I've been asked why the 3 layers versus 2 or versus 1 or 4. Richard Sharon, who those of you are familiar with, our structural engineer for many years here at Kinetics Noise Control, did a really interesting study and wrote a paper he titled Plywood Composite Construction for Floating Floors in Fitness Centers and Gymnasiums. And for all who are listening, you're welcome to reach out to your local sales rep or Kinetics Direct to get a copy for yourselves. But essentially, the purpose of the paper was to develop standard composites and construction instructions, essentially, for plywood composite floors to, ensure the expected performance over a reasonable length of time. So, and also to provide some engineering justification for the recommendations. So, essentially, he conducted extensive research on plywood panel bending stiffness and everything related to that. And in the end, and I'll let you have a read through at your leisure, but yeah, in the end, he ultimately came to the conclusion that the 3-layer buildup is necessary to eliminate any chance of a location where that bending stiffness would be due, say, to a single layer or dual layer of plywood versus the 3 layers. So field and lab tested, field and lab test evidence has led to the conclusion that the 2-layer composites would fail where there is a seam in the bottom layer, essentially. So yeah, feel free to reach out, get a copy of your own. It's super interesting. So go ahead, Taylor. Thanks.
Right on. Thanks, Chris. So the last slide here, it just shows you the finished floor. The project, it turned out really well. Great feedback from both the AHS and the YMCA, and the space is now open. But just from our standpoint, as we do the design and supply as well as the installation of this material, the install went fantastic. It actually went a lot quicker than we had originally estimated, and there were no hiccups or nothing to complain about. It was a fantastic product to work with, and I hope that we can complete more of these floors and systems in the future.
Great. Thank you, Taylor. And now, yeah, the question portion. If anyone has any questions, feel free to ask, and we will get you an answer here.
Yeah, we do have one question already. So they asked, in a similar application, a gym in an apartment building, the vibrations would transfer through the vertical columns to upper floors. Will this help that?
Yeah, the short answer is yes, absolutely. MetaWrx and the architecture and technology behind MetaWrx was really designed in this initial iteration for getting installed with lower profile, lightweight buildups. So we haven't yet tested concrete or any of that, but for retrofit applications where maybe the structure can't take concrete, maintaining floor ceiling height, budget, all the above. That's really where this technology was designed around to suit those applications. So the answer is yes to that as well.
All right, we have another question. Could you use this puck system for a raised access floor system with the pucks, I'm assuming MetaWrx, under pedestals and the 3-layer of plywood on the floor panels?
Yes, absolutely.
All right, in this case study, the finished floor was wood, or did they use rubber, etc., type tile on top of the MetaWrx system? Has the benefit of the rubber tile as finished layer been quantified?
You do. I mean, we would absolutely still recommend that the finished floor, be either, introduce some form of resiliency there atop the plywood, or whether it was in some cases structural concrete panels, whatever the buildup. The finish, we recommend the finished floor still be some amount of rubber. It's with the MetaWrx isolation system. You don't necessarily need the 2 inches or the 3 inches or the thicker versions. I think they went, so in the mock testing, as Taylor, I think, mentioned, we tested the bare floor, MetaWrx, the plywood, and then the with and without the finished rubber floor, and then versus a 1-inch rubber floor on its own, and then a 2-inch rubber flooring on its own. And Taylor, correct me if I'm wrong, what was the final install here? Was it 3/4 inch mat, or was it the 1 inch, or?
Yeah, 3/4 inch.
3/4 inch was the final. Okay.
All right, is there a minimum natural frequency requirement for the subfloor?
Not necessarily. I mean, we'd work with you on that for sure. I mean, our structural engineering team would work with you on that in sensitive applications, but I guess the short answer is no, not necessarily.
Okay, did you do any tapping tests, for instance, FIIC?
Yes, we have a lot of tests for STC and IIC, both conducted at Intertech labs. I think I want to say 18 total tests, most of which you can find on our website under MetaWrx. You'll go down and see, I think it says testing results, if I'm not mistaken, but yeah, a lot of IIC testing, and soon we will have released LIIC as well on a variety of our products for that matter, but LIIC going down to 50 hertz as well. So.
Can you explain the yellow insulation rollout? Is it just to absorb sound?
Yeah, so the insulation per various test reports does indicate that you gain, a couple of points, call it, in STC and IIC, depending on the buildup, depending on the structure and the test itself. You might gain a dB or 2, call it, but really, I think more so it allows to save a lot of time in the field as far as whatever the spacing, and this goes for our RIN rollout system as well, the fiberglass system. But yeah, we for MetaWrx, for example, on site, we received the rolled insulation 4x50 with the pre-punched holes, whether 12, 16, 24 inches on center, and then you go to roll out the insulation with those pre-punched holes, and all you got to do is pop in the isolators. So it's a little bit acoustic benefit. I think a little more so than insulate, more efficient installation.
All right. Do we have comparison data to other floating floor assemblies to other 2 3/4 inch gym specialty flooring tiles?
I think I understand that, right? We haven't tested internally, if that's the question, versus, you know, any finished rubber flooring. We intend to this year, but we don't readily have available a direct comparison to what would be a 2 3/4 inch or 3 inch finished rubber flooring at this stage. No.
Okay. And another one, were you just using basic common plywood?
Yes, we were.
If you guys have any other questions, definitely feel free to reach out to us. You can reach out to marketing at Kinetics Noise, or feel free to reach out to Chris directly.
It's Chris Williams, no space, no dot, no anything. Chris Williams, all one word, at kineticsnoise.com. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Like I mentioned, please do reach out to your local sales rep or Kinetics Direct with any questions you have as it relates to MetaWrx. Or otherwise, any of our products. So we appreciate you tuning in, and yeah, enjoy the rest of your day.